Labas, čia Vincentas Palubinskas. Sveiki sugrįžę į tinklalaidę Lietuva Amerika. Šią savaitę žvilgsnis į Berlyną. Vokietijoje per rekordiškai trumpą laiką susiformavo nauja koalicija. Kanclerio postą perima Friedrichas Merzas. Tai proga pasikalbėti su tais, kurie Vokietijoje gina tas pačias vertybės kaip ir mes. Laisvę, saugumą, vakarietišką atsakomybę. Pirmoje dalyje pokalbis su Roderichu Kiesewetteriu, Bundestago nariu, buvusiu kariškiu ir vienu ryškiausių balsų, kai kalba pasisuka apie gynybą ir transatlantinius ryšius. Tiesus žmogus, kalbantis atvirai apie tai, kas vyksta rytuose ir ką turi daryti Vokietija. Antroje dalyje Michaelu Gahleriu, ilgametis Europos Parlamento narys, kuris nuo pat 2014 metų vienas nuosekliausių Ukrainos rėmėjų Briuselyje. Kalbame apie tai, kur turi judėti Europa, ne teoriškai, o praktiškai, jei iš tikrųjų norim būti laisvi ir saugus. Tad pasiklausykit, parašykit, ką galvojat ir kaip visad nepamirškit prenumeruoti. Jūsų įsitraukimas šitam projektui duoda kryptį. Gerą klausimą.
I mix it 1 to 3 years, and here it's also starting. Roderichu, I'm so happy to meet with you in Palace of our Dukes, and as we always say, you are the best in Germany. You started to speak like now most of the Germans speak some time ago. So now with, as you just said today, with this new coalition, we have like huge coalitions, especially seeing that Americans go a bit crazy. So what shall we do to make it even better? You heard today, I was asking for NATO, invitation to Ukraine. We want defense spending. We want your defense industry to go as crazy as you can. Rheinmetall is building a factory here. We need 10 factories like that. So what shall we do as little Lithuanians we are doing a podcast with Roderichu. Yeah. So.
Sigurd, it's a great honor to see you again. I'm really grateful also to stay in this marvelous room of your history. First of all, Lithuania is a role model also for us in Germany, encompassing armaments industry, societal resilience, and deterrence. Nevertheless, we in Germany have to learn much faster than we did in the past. The most important issue is not to find an armistice in Ukraine, but to bring Ukraine into a position where they have peace and freedom and self-determination. So we should stop drawing red lines in our own societies. We should stop to make out of these red lines a red carpet for Putin. So what we need is to contain Russia. And this means that Russia has to learn to lose. What does that mean? To acknowledge the right of existence of all of its member states. And in parallel, that we understand that Ukraine is defending us, is saving us time, that Ukraine is part and pillar of our own defense. And we are not supporting Ukraine as a sign of solidarity, but for our own interests. And therefore we need to encompass our own armaments industry, to merge them with the Ukrainian armaments industry, to produce in time and to produce where it is less costly. And last remark, we have to convince our societies, we have to confront them with the truth. Your society in Lithuania is very resilient. They know what's going on. In Germany, people believe that we have time and that we are complacent and that we are doing enough, and we are not doing enough. Because we only invest 0.1% of our own GDP for the defense of Ukraine. We have to do more, not only for our own defense, but also for societal cohesion, for societal resilience, and to debunk Russian disinformation and the Russian influence in Germany. They are destroying armaments infrastructure. They are destroying and influencing railroad infrastructure. They have military drones coming from ships from the Baltic Sea, flying over our own critical infrastructure. Therefore, Russia is seeing us as a war party. We want to avoid the war, but the war is present. So we have to redefine what is free peace and freedom and self-determination.
Roderichu, you mentioned time, that like the worst case scenario as we see it, that Trump is doing the worst mistake. He's taking this red carpet, rolling it to the Putin, and maybe before Easter, or maybe even before, as Russians say, day of victory, 9th of May, they will make a deal. Well, we know what is 9th of May for us. It is occupation. It's 1/3 of nation killed. And if Americans go completely mad and open even their own economy to Russia, because we have some signals from Washington playing with Russians and even Belarusians, let's stop the sanctions, let's exchange, let's make business. Do you think in this worst case scenario, when Americans, instead of helping us with Ukraine, empowers enemy, fuels his muscles against us, do you think with German engineering power, with your new coalition, with Kubilius in Brussels, we could have a plan to stop Russians and, well, first of all, with EU, open EU doors for Ukraine, strengthening EU, as you said, maybe creating coalition of willing with Article 5 will to stop the Russians. Do you think we are capable of, even if Americans go completely rogue?
Well, we really have to calculate with the absence of America. And we also have to calculate with the seduction of economic cooperation. For example, there are some Americans, even Grenell, the former ambassador to Germany, who would like to refurbish Nord Stream and then circumvent the energy infrastructure we have built. So again, Russian gas via America then to Europe. We shouldn't do that. So the way out is really to look who in the European Union and who in the European NATO states, including Canada, are willing to cooperate beside both organizations, but with the infrastructure of both organizations, to create a coalition of the willing, which includes an Article 5 type deterrence, which also means that Ukraine is part of this deterrence strategy, so that we are defending Ukraine, present in Ukraine. For example, that the European coalition of the willing is defending towards and securing the border to Belarus, so that the Ukrainian forces completely could focus on the east and on the north towards Russia. So this would be something, and to take over the air defense over Ukraine. Russia will withdraw if they see our strength. But if we only are in fear and are in self-deterrence, Russia will continue and increase and escalate. And therefore, we need a strategy of counter-escalation, which means taking over air defense, creating an Article 5 type defense deterrence, and preparing our troops for the cruelty of war, that we avoid the cruelty of war.
Do you think German society is ready for this kind of leadership, like team leadership, to make the whole team strong, responsibly? Because, during the generations, those occupying powers, they were inducing something else to your mind. Do you think Germans are ready for that?
Sigis, that's exactly my work. I was in more than 190 electoral districts. We have 299 in Germany. And I see that you can confront the people with the truth. And I believe it was a big mistake also in our election campaign to abstain a little bit from that, to avoid to talk with people about the Russian threat and about what is going on also on German soil and sky. And therefore, I see the need to do this, and I believe that we have the chance to do this. And I hope we will really be successful, because the alternative is war also in Germany.
Thank you, Roderick, for your leadership. We hope to do it together. Thank you so much. When you see Vincentas is more or less like me and you 30 years ago, young Christian Democrats, so he's young Christian Democrat, he's International Secretary of Young Christian Democrats, and he will join us in Valencia. So I still remember Junge Union, actually the first meeting of Junge Union in Berlin was with father of Vincentas. We went in 92, and I still remember a lot of courses. What shall we do? How shall we fight for freedom? And we more or less did everything, Michael, during those years. So you have the whole history in your head to compare those glorious years when it was German leadership to bring us to to European Union and NATO. And without you, without Germans, we would never do it. Now, with the situation on the east, with situation in Ukraine, with America changing the course, my interest when I wanted to have a discussion with you was, is really Germans are now ready for similar leadership to get Ukrainian souls saved? Because it will be tough. We are in confrontation with Russia.
There was just yesterday evening a very interesting, well, there were several interviews of Friedrich Merz, who said, yes, of course, I mean, with regard to EU and also at some point NATO, Ukraine will be there, but he also said not during the war. I mean, that's also clear. Yeah, while there is still a hot war ongoing, there will be not the accession yet. But we do everything and we support everything that is a preparatory way to do it. I mean, the biggest blockers is Hungary currently, but the entire process that goes prior to formal opening negotiations, that is done, and that is of course supported by Germany. That was what he said in the Handelsblatt, and yesterday evening was very interesting, and I posted it also. It's of course in German, and then he said very clearly, referred to this severe war crime in Sumy. He said it's a severe war crime, and it shows what Putin really wants. And he, from his side, said, and we need to get Ukraine not only reacting, but also ahead of the wave, so to say. And he referred actively to the Taurus deliveries. And he said it again. And then the interviewer also showed his excerpts from October last year, when he in the Bundestag said to Scholz prior to the election, and Chancellor Scholz, if Putin again attacks civilian targets, as it was the time then, he said that if he doesn't stop it within 24 hours, we deliver the Taurus. That is what he said in October, and he was confronted with this, what he had said, and he confirmed it. Yes, Ukraine must get in the forehand of this war, and not only reacting. And he said that it would be in a coordinated way with our partners. He referred to the French and the British, who are already delivering such cruise missiles, and the Americans anyhow, he said. And he said then that we would also deliver that. And there has already been today a reaction from Moscow saying that would lead to further escalation. I mean, that is typically Russian. They are the ones who are escalating, and when we are reacting, then it's us who escalate. I mean, we will not get that, will not let them through with it. So yesterday evening, you can look at it on my Facebook page. I have this excerpt there, and you'll get a translation for that easily.
Just my last question before Vincentas intervenes. So you think that Germany could be a political, like, I remember one of the German foreign ministers, they were calling Germany as advocate of the Baltic membership in EU, and actually also your defense minister then helped us to accede to NATO.
Yes, yeah. No, definitely. I think we owe it. I mean, we have a history, and I recall, with regard to the Baltic states, when we got Helmut Kohl to Riga in January 1998 for the Baltic Sea Summit, he said in the press conference, "I have never forgotten the betrayal of Hitler of the Baltic states, and I have traveled less than others, but I have done what was necessary." And I think this upcoming German chancellor and new government will do what is necessary. And in my mind, it means concretely, we should actively take the position that is already taken by Poland, the Baltic states, and the Nordics. They have been far more outspoken and shown more resolve than this hesitant previous chancellor. I mean, we have delivered a lot, but not everything we could have delivered. Taurus is only one thing that we did not deliver, and we did not deliver much of the heavy metals, so to say. of the tanks or so. To send some leopards is not by no means enough. Yeah? And we are, I think we will be more active even then. And there's one aspect, of course, when the Americans stop deliveries, I think there is one way to get the American weapons, and that is, of course, for us to buy them. That is what Trump will always accept. Yeah, he will not, perhaps, when this current program that was already agreed by the previous administration, when that is expiring, I think in June or so, when everything has been delivered of this 60 billion, he will offer us, because he hopefully realizes that Putin is the only one who doesn't want peace. Putin is the only one who does not even want a ceasefire. He will definitely get rid of this illusion at some point, hopefully. But then he will say, okay, if you think we need to support Ukraine even more, you can have all the American weapons. They are for sale, and he will sell them to us, because we will not be able at short notice, still unfortunately not, to upscale or ramp up our production to an extent where we can at the same time fill our stockpiles and deliver to Ukraine what Ukraine requires. I was last Friday in Röthenbach near Nuremberg, where the company Diehl produces the IRIS-T, this air defense system. And you find it on my website as well, on my Facebook site, also a nice photo with an IRIS-T with me and the people that accompanied me. So I think we will see an active German pressure to deliver more and to be more supportive, not only to be outspoken, but also out-delivering, so to say. And that is necessary.
Wonderful. Those are the words that we so much been waiting for German officials to say. Vincentas, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for your time. It's been very interesting so far and much appreciated. But what I would like to ask is, absolutely, first of all, we do really look forward to a strong Germany, a Germany that is willing to fight for us and for European values, and to take a leadership position when our partners across the Atlantic are on shaky ground, let's say. But I mean, let's get back to talking about Junge Union and your very history with Junge Union. But it seems to me that also having looked at the polls of the election, the youth seems far less interested in Ukraine and security than perhaps the older generation. I mean, I'm not just referring to the youth that voted for Die Linke and AfD. I'm also referring to the fact that, during the initial coalition forming talks, the current chairman of JU, Johannes Winkel, really emphasized the need for pensions and to save money for that rather than for defense. And to be completely honest, the regional director of CAS here in Lithuania sent me that, and she was very concerned, and she said, you guys as JKL, that this is your job to speak to them, to speak to your colleagues in Germany, to remind them that this is what we need. We need defense. We need to stand for our values.
I mean, if you directly confront them and ask them about it, they will of course confirm it. But indeed, I agree. I see the point. There is less of this European conviction or devotion than in the time when I was young. I mean, at that time, of course, we had still to achieve a lot. We had not only to reunite all this, to fulfill this objective or this wish to reunite Germany, but Europe as such, to overcome the division of Europe. So there were real big goals, and then it was about the euro and the single market and Schengen as a point. These were huge things, and now some of these processes, well, you see, because of migration, then the Schengen is at risk, and we see challenges at home with especially Germany. Now we are in the third year of recession and no growth. So the focus goes wrongly, I would say, to focus on these things. And then when it's about pensions, indeed, the young generation says we do not want to pay for the old ones only, because we are so few, and accordingly we have to have this tough discussion that it's only because there are so many old people and they vote then hopefully for us that we pursue such a policy. And that is about political leadership. As I said, if you confront Johannes Winkel, he will also say clearly what is our position on Russia. And now when we come back into the government, it's also for us a task to confront the youth with the reality of our security threat, that we are really exposed to the threat of war, and that is something that is not popular. But as I said, it requires political leadership that starts, of course, from the chancellor to tell the truth to the surprised public. But accordingly, we need to convince the surprised public that it's our party and also the younger people there that are ready to defend our democracy and defend our countries and be supportive of Ukraine. I mean, please use all the opportunities that you have. I mean, we have, that is for the party as such. We have soon the Congress in Valencia, where Ukraine as such will figure prominently. But there's also the youth organization. There is the chair. She is from Portugal. She is in our parliament as well, and she's very much aware of that. And she needs, well, she's outgoing. There are new candidates coming. But I mean, for youth organization, you must oblige then the national youth organizations to have this war and peace issue as the major issue. And I think that is the major issue, and we need to transport that into the general public perception. I mean, it's not a problem in Lithuania. Vilnius is 30 kilometers from Belarus, yeah. So for you, it's a daily feeling, but we must get that, so to say, we must implant that into the broader European youth. And well, I mean, we have, as Germans now, we have now last week formally launched this Lithuanian brigade, which is now being systematically upgraded and formed, and then in 2 years' time, or when it will be fully operational in Lithuania, I hope to get as many policymakers, journalists, civil society organizations, people to visit that, to realize that, and to get to know that, so to have a broader public involved to face the reality. It's not less than face the reality.
Yes, Michael, I absolutely agree with you and Vincentas. Like, it's so much done already at military level, and it will be done even more. Germany is also first investor in Lithuania. Trade, economic relations are booming, to be honest. But we have to do a lot in helping each other, politically, society to society, people to people. So let's create as many as possible events in Germany, in your Bundesland. As we just recently back from Munich, where we opened our consulate general and we made some Lithuanian German forum. But let's help each other to understand and to transfer that Nordic Baltic understanding of peace and war, not only to Germany, but with the help of Germany, to all other member states who are really lagging behind in understanding.
In my region, in Hessen, we have our famous Lithuanian gymnasium, Vasario 16 in Hüttenfeld. I've been there dozens of times, so I don't know how often I've been there, since the 90s. So I know it since very long. The Lithuanians there, they have been very supportive in 2020 when we had the events in Belarus. We had events there in this little castle where the gymnasium is situated. I think we should expand, so to say, from this focal point for Lithuanians in Germany. We should expand and these activities and have more events there or nearby, so to say, to join forces and make this institution more operational in the broader perception.
I agree. Vincentas, your father studied in that gymnasium?
He did indeed, yeah. We have a very, very long history with V16 in Rittenfeld. I've been there myself several times.
Yeah,
Beautiful place, and it's symbolic of the Lithuanian community in Germany, which unfortunately, in my understanding, currently has become rather weak. But I think it's important for both myself, Žygis, and my representative in our parliament to really put all our possible effort into strengthening these diasporic communities so that they can exert their influence on their local societies.
And Michael, you cannot imagine historic role of Germany because, for example, powerful Lithuanian American community, even the whole diaspora, was founded in Germany during those, occupation years. You hosted our immigrants who.
yeah.
Hitler gymnasium is just one of those gymnasiums who left. We had many, but Americans didn't allow us to emigrate for America for like more than 10 years. And all major organizations of our fight for our like software to survive during when hardware was taken was because of your asylum that you provided. And also vice versa. You mentioned CAS together with Vincentas. To be honest, well, first of all, Reagan learned from German organizations how to build his own democracy promotion organization like IRI and NED and others. And now when Americans are shrinking the budget for those democracy instruments, I think this is for our organization. CAS has even 2 offices in Lithuania, Baltic and Belarus, and all our activities to fill that space. So Lithuanians and Germans will have to work really a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you had a great guy until very recently, Jakob Wellenstein, who did a tremendous, enormous job for the Belarusians there from Vilnius. He is now, well, I think he arrived already in Georgia, which is a real
Yes.
challenge now, whether they perhaps even will let him in. I mean,
My last point with your experience, with your wonderful experience and contribution. When you see Trump with Witkoff in the middle of all those tragedies, still trying to negotiate this deal on peace, and you just also see China trying to divide us and rule. So, in my historic memory, they divide and rule. We have to stay together. We have to unite. So do you think that American madness will end with some failures and then we will one day be reunited or not?
well, there is this nice saying that Americans always do the right thing after they tried out so many wrong things.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's imminent that the failure of Witkoff with regards to Russia will have to be accepted by Trump. I mean, he was outraged still when there was the CBS interview by Zelensky, who invited Trump to see himself what the situation is. Apparently, Trump was not very happy about that. But I think Witkoff, when he comes home now, I mean, he was still in Saudi. What was it in discussing about Iran in Oman? Yeah, I think at the latest when he comes home and is honest to his own president, he will have to tell him that Putin does want everything, but not ceasefire and not peace. I mean, the Sumi tragedy has caused such an outrage globally that hopefully even Trump will have to admit that he cannot sell such policy as his success. I mean, it's just the opposite. It's a total failure to pretend that Putin is somebody who wants peace or a ceasefire for reasonable conditions. That is simply not true. And I hope that this realization, this admittance that he was wrong will come. But then he can still turn it, hopefully, and say, well, he It's not his fault, of course. Well, of course, it's Putin's fault, but that he simply by then taking the right position, then his own mistakes will be forgotten. Yeah, I mean, if he just turns around in the right direction, we won't blame it for his failures. I mean, we can still say he tried the best and had his best intentions, although it's at best naive or even so to say his inclination or his love for dictators or autocrats. I mean, that he met in his first mandate with this crook Kim Jong-un. Yeah, I mean, an American president, if at all, he should meet with such a guy when prior to such a meeting something real substantial is fixed, and then they can say, okay, now he deserves to have a short shake hands with an American president. But in his first term, to meet this guy without any result and thinking just with personal context brings something, he learns it harder now with Putin. And it makes no sense that he meets with Putin prior to any concession, prior to any signal from Putin that is different than what he has done until now. Until now, Putin hasn't changed a centimeter, not a millimeter, his position, and that must be realized by an American president and admitted, and then hopefully he takes the necessary consequences.
I really hope that we will not see Trump on May 9th in parade in Moscow. It will be also anyone because they still think about that. But really, thank you, Michael, for everything you did through those decades, and you are still helping actually me and the other freedom fighters in Georgia, in all other places, like every day. Really, thank you for that. Some time ago you've been just lonely wolf. And now finally Germany is turning, to the right direction you've been always pushing. Really, thank you,
Yeah.
Michael.
Okay, pleasure.
Thank you. See you in a minute.
Bis bene.
Goodbye.
Grazie, Massimo.
Du pokalbiai, dvi vokiečių perspektyvos, bet tas pats aiškus signalas. Vokietija bunda. Roderichas Kiesewetterius kalbėjo apie tikrą atsakomybę sąjungininkams, apie tai, kaip nebegalima slėptis už istorinių kompleksų, kai šalia dega Ukraina. Michaelu Gahleriu apie Europos stuburą, kurio reikia ne rytoj, o vakar. Apie tai, kad vertybinė politika nėra naivumas, o vienintelė išeitis, jei nenorim gyventi pagal diktatų pasaulio taisyklės. Šiandien girdim balsus Vokietijoje, kurie kalba mūsų kalbą, ir tai reiškia, kad nesame vieni. Ačiū, kad klausotės. Kaip visada, pasidalinkit, užsiprenumeruokit ir parašykit, ką galvojat. Laisvė nėra duotybė, bet kai ją gini ne vienas, atsiranda viltis. Iki sekančio.